This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Want to share with you a ministry that is helping people that are definitely going through some challenges. And it's unlike any ministry I've ever experienced. It's called Use What You've Got Prison Ministry. And for decades, they have been helping families connect with those in the criminal justice system. Going to learn more about that today. And she is the woman behind the human resources and this ministry. Cecilia Whitfield joins us on the program today. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. This is exciting.
Great to have
Thank you
you
so
here.
much.
Oh, my pleasure. And I didn't know that this existed, that there is a ministry that essentially helps keep families connected when a member of the family is in the prison system, the criminal justice system. Tell us, before we get into why you did this, why you started this decades ago, tell us about the ministry in general.
Okay. Well, we provide transportation to 18 different correctional facilities. And we also have provided transportation to the federal prison and to the juvenile facilities for families to visit their incarcerated loved ones, to keep that connection that mothers and wives they want to keep with their children. So we help them to keep that connection.
So essentially, it's about the transportation to get the family to the facility so that they can connect with their loved ones.
Yes, for visitations. Yes,
Did I hear
yes,
you right? 18 facilities?
yes, yes. In Indiana, yes. There's
Wow.
18. Now, that doesn't include the federal prison, nor does it include the juvenile facilities. Those are just correctional facilities in the state of Indiana. Yes.
Amazing. Wow. Um, what would happen if you didn't exist for these families?
Well, I'm not sure. I've been doing this 37 years. So, families who are low income families without transportation, they wouldn't be able to visit. They could do maybe, they could write a letter, but a personal touch means more than a piece of paper. And research has proven that touch brings healing. So just being able to go there, to touch your husband, to touch your son or your daughter that might be incarcerated, to give them a hug, to let them know that somebody outside of the prison still care about them, it helps to bring healing. So it would be difficult for people without transportation because a lot of the prisons are 300 to 400 miles away from the families.
Wow. Scientifically proven with research, how touch, how a hug,
Yes,
and I forget the number, but they say that everybody should experience 8 hugs a day of a certain amount of time, 20 seconds or whatever it is, for maximum just mental facilities, feeling much
yes,
better.
yes,
That's proven. That's been around
yes,
for a long time. So I can understand that.
yes,
And we have to realize here too, this isn't just for the inmate, it's for the family too. They need to heal. They need to feel better too.
as yes, yes. Um, when I started this 37 years ago, the Hudson Institute, which is a think tank, they told me that we are called the hidden victims. And so I had no idea that the families were the hidden victims. And back then, no one had thought about us or the children that needed to visit their loved ones that's in prison. So that's one of the names that the Hudson Institute coined back in the 90s, in the late 90s to me, that we're called the hidden victims.
Hmm. And this
So
began
it's
for you
important.
what was your inspiration to start this ministry?
My son, when he had just graduated from high school, and within 2 months, he had gotten on drugs and he went out and did armed robbery with a gun, and he was facing 40 years of prison time. So, as I was in an emotional state, depressed, and visiting him, not there was never a thought that my child would commit a robbery when he had never grown up around anything crazy like that. And for that to happen, it was just devastating for me. So I people would ask me as I was visiting him and another young man that was my daughter's friend, does the state of Indiana offer transportation for us? And the answer was no, the state of Indiana does not offer transportation for the families. And one day I was just driving home, and the Lord laid on my heart to start a prison shuttle service for the families to stay connected to their loved ones who's incarcerated. And I used my own money. We borrowed money on a house, and we bought a school bus, and
Wow.
reached out to some retired folks to ask them how to do it. And we did.
You know, a lot of us don't see it that way when somebody is incarcerated, that, especially somebody younger, they got mixed up with a certain crowd, they made a wrong decision, and that it's a decision that's going to affect them for the rest of their lives. But as a parent or a loved one, how much you take on from that, you know, dare I say,
Yes,
guilt and things like that, where it has nothing to do with you potentially, may not, but it happened. So there's a lot going on there,
yes.
and certainly just having that connection with them. Um, Through your ministry, how often do some of the families in Indiana get to see their loved ones in prison? How often are they able to make a trip?
Well, before the COVID, people would go every 2 weeks to a different prison. So for Putnamville, which is in the state farm is in Putnamville, Indiana, we were going to Putnamville every Thursday. The trips that are far away, like in Tell City, which is 3 hours from Indianapolis, they would go once a month. Michigan City, it would be once a month. So if they were 3 to 4 hours away, it would be a once a month visit. The trips that were close, 45 minutes to an hour, they would go every 2 weeks. So it
Wow.
depends.
That's
Yes.
fantastic. And this started with a school bus you mentioned, but
Yes.
now we're at the point where these aren't school buses where you transport the people with. These these are really nice buses, I gotta say.
Yeah, and before we got those buses, we were using vans because after using the school bus, because we've been doing this these 37 years, so after we got rid of the school bus, we started buying 15 passenger vans. And then later by 2008 or 2009, we began to get buses with the wheelchair lifts so that anyone disabled who love their child, grandmothers who love their grandkids, they could go to visit. So we have wheelchair lifts on the buses for anyone. We do not discriminate against anybody.
I'm amazed. Are these your buses? The ministries?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
Because I'm looking at photographs
We're
of them.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are some videos on our website, or if you Google my name, you can see more pictures of the buses and some stories that the TV stations had rode the bus with us and went to a prison just to the DOC, the Department of Correction allowed the TV channel, I forget what station, but they rode with us on a trip, and they were allowed to go inside the prison with the wife and her children to visit their loved ones just to get an idea of what that's like to go inside the prison. So there are a few videos on, I'm not sure if it's on the website or just if you Google who is Cecilia Whitfield, you'll see those videos from off of TV stations.
Wow. Beautiful. And this is the transportation is just a part of what you offer, right? Cecilia, tell us about some of
Yeah.
the other things that you help out with.
Well, because when the first 19 years, I drove to all the prisons. And so I would see the mothers hurt, the grandparents hurt. I had two grandmothers. I really love to talk about them. The one grandmother was the father mother, and the other grandmothers was the mother's mother. And the parents didn't go, but the grandmothers did. So I started a retreat because I know the pain. So I started taking the mothers and the grandparents away for a weekend just to begin to bring healing to us because I'm still in it. And so my husband had bought me a timeshare in 1990. And as I watched these hurting parents who had no transportation, they lived in some of the worst areas. I thought it's time to take them away from their pain, from their hurt, and give them a new vision, give them a new hope, bring some healing. And so for a weekend, once a year, I would take 10 to 20 ladies away in our bus for free. And we would go away. We would go to French Lick or we would go to Patoka Lake, different places just to get them away from their environment. And I would bring in some nice speakers to help us to cope through with our pain because I didn't go to school to do this. This was not a plan. So I worked for the phone company as a clerk. So I had no idea of what I was just doing things. So we did the retreat once a year for the mothers and the wives, and the grandparents, the women. And then I would see these little children, which I had little grandkids, and they were going to see my son, and they were hurting. So I started a Christmas party. And we started it first. My husband and I just started buying clothes ourselves and some toys, and we would wrap these little gifts up for the little kids, and we bring them together around, a week before Christmas, and we would have a little singing, a little playing, and we would give them a little gift. So we started a Christmas party, and our party was private for the families, the children, because the state of Indiana has 177,000 children who have someone incarcerated. And so with me driving, I could see this. I could see the pain. I felt the pain. I know how I've hurt. I lost 50 pounds overnight when my son did this. I couldn't, nothing stayed down. People have no idea of what we as families go through when our child do this. So we started a Christmas party. And then one day, with the guys, when some of them were released, we started taking them on a man's power, a weekend, a getaway for the men. And we would pay for it. Me and my husband, he worked for Lily's, and I took an early buyout from Indiana Bell. So we would pay for just getting them away. Because I always thought if we can get them out of their environment, it would help them. And that has helped a lot down through these years, getting people away from and give them new hope, vision of something else besides, some people don't know how to get out of that where they are. So we gave them a little bit of hope and little vision. So we started a men's retreat. So we do the Christmas, we do the women's retreat, and we have life skill classes. So those were some of the things that the Lord had me to do, which, like I said, it's called use what you got. I didn't know whether I didn't. These were just some ideas
I was just going to
to
ask
help.
you how you came up with that name, Use What You've Got.
My mother, I'm an only child, and so I said, Mama, the Lord told me to start a prison shuttle bus because the state of Indiana doesn't offer transportation for us. I said, but Mama, I only have a general diploma. I only went to high school, and it's just a general diploma. I don't know what I'm doing. And she said, "Oh, just use what you got." I said, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna name it. Use what you got." So, being an only child, grew up in the projects. I named it "Use What You Got" because my mother told me to do that, and that's
Love
what
it.
I've done.
Love it. And in my journey, I'm a firm believer in it's almost the same thing. Everything I need is within me now. We got what we need. It's all inside of us. The challenge is finding it, listening to it, hearing it. You can heal
Yes.
yourself. You can do amazing things. It's all inside. This is why we still exist, thousands of years later, because all we need is within us now because we use what we got, essentially. It's amazing how this all began for you with transportation, then became support groups, then became, call it holiday assistance with toys and gifts as needed, with you being an advocate for families. It's almost like it just exploded because it needed to. There needs to be support. I can't imagine somebody going through this alone. Nobody else is going to understand how you feel. Nobody's going to, there,
Mm-mm.
and I'm going to say it. A lot of people are going to judge. And you didn't tell your son, hey, here's a great idea. Go do this. No, he just made a choice. We all have a choice. And that's how that went. And it's the same thing for most in those situations. They made a choice. Doesn't reflect you or loved ones. Sometimes it can, but that's isolated cases. But you needed help to go through that. Would you say that this was help for you as well?
Yes. Well, and then the other thing is the drugs that people get on. My son, his first cousin, introduced him to crack. And that just led to all of the problems that started because of the crack cocaine. And statistics, I've been doing this for a long time. Statistics shows that 75 to 80% of people who are incarcerated is they have a mental health problem or a drug addiction. The majority of people who are in prison are not in there because they're mean, bad folks. They're in there because they got on drugs, or they got a mental problem, traumatic brain injuries, different other things. Is why so many of the folks are incarcerated because of the addictions that's out here. And people don't know that. And we are judged. I was judged so much because I had put my son through private school and it was excited that he was getting ready to he graduated. He did graduate, and in June and by August he's in the newspaper. He made the newspaper robbing Wendy with a sawed-off shotgun, and I just thought, are you serious? I don't drink, do drugs. What is this? He been in church all his life. Are you serious? My son. And of course, like I said, we're judged. Church folks will judge you more than us, the world. And that's what hurts the most. So when I would get on the bus with the mothers, the grandmothers, the wives, we would encourage each other. We could build each other up, and they say, "What's the say, girl? How's your son? Is he in jail again? Yeah, he's in jail. Well, I'm sorry. Well, let's go to the prison." And I would I would drive to the drive the bus, and we go in there, 15 of us at the same, because my son was in some of the same prisons our writers was in. So the prisons wouldn't give me but 5 minutes to visit with my son, while the other mothers and families would get 2 hours to visit. So yeah,
Why did you
it's
not have the same amount of
been
time?
something. Well, I was judged by them, the people, the prisons back then. They thought I was in it for money, and I had never thought about money. It was a healing for me. And so I think they thought they could make me act out, go off, and I refused. I refused to go off, and my son wanted to, but I said no, because if you go off in that prison, they'll stop you from visiting. So I think it was a test just to see how I was going to react by just letting me see my son 5 minutes. And I decided I wasn't going to show off. I wasn't, so I don't, that's what they did to me.
I got no words on that one. And usually I'm not short of words. That is just, you're a woman that is driving a bus. Like you just want to help people. Um, wow. Well,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes you got to bite your lip. There's listen,
yeah, you do.
I have scars on my cheek for the so many times I've done that over the years in many situations. Um, wow. Obviously this takes donations. Um, the vehicles alone, the gas alone, um, starts adding up. You've got sponsors, you've got donors, but I got to believe that if somebody is compelled and believes in your mission, that they can donate, right?
They can donate. I'm looking for investors because I'm getting up there in age and I really need to begin to hire, bring in a successor that I can train to move this all over the state of Indiana because there's 25,000 people incarcerated in the state prison, 25,000. And they're not just from Indianapolis, they're from all over the state of Indiana. So right now I'm working to get a bus in different counties, Fort Wayne, Evansville, South Bend. I live in Marion County. So yeah, I'm looking for some investors that's going to come alongside and say, we're going to help you do this and bring in some staff that would help you because a lot of people, because I'm a mother and did plan this and didn't go to get an education to do this, it's been difficult to raise money. But I'm still here 37 years. But if I could find some angels to say, Cecilia, we're gonna, there's not, this is not the only thing I want to do, and I know we got to go, but I want to build a family success center that's going to be open 24 hours, 7 days a week. One of the problems that I see, even with my own son who's fought addictions for years, they don't have anything to do in the middle of the night. So I want to have a 24-hour um, family success center. They'll have a basketball court and a weight room that's going to be open 24 hours, 7 days a week, giving them something to do to get them off the street. That's the other part of the vision that I want to do. Have a healthy eating thing because I teach recovery. Well, my granddaughter has a master's in nutrition, and nutrition is a key to recovery because folks who have an addiction, they don't eat right, they never drink water. Water flow, and so I have so many statistics about nutrition. So I want to have a healthy eating place in this 24 hours weight family success center. I also want to start, and I'm saying this quick. I want to start an out of school suspension program. They call school to prison pipeline because they start building the prison when a person is in third grade. And if they're getting in trouble, then they know they're going to go to prison if they're getting in trouble in third grade. So that's how they build their prisons. So I want to start a school to, I want to start a love school, which is a school suspension program. So when these children are being suspended from school, they can come to us and we can be helping them in a positive way to stop them from going to prison when they get older or going to juvenile. So I need some help.
Even just to
I need some
realize
money.
what prison is like, as a third grader, you don't get it. Um, Amazing what you've done, amazing the visions you have. You made it up as you went along, and it's turned into, a ride to the prison. Now families depend on you. And if anybody wants to learn more, what's your website? What's the best way to find you?
Okay, it's www dot, and it's all one word, what, WHAT, you've got, YOUVEGOT, ministry, MINISTRY.org. Or they can call me at 317-924-4124 is our office number.
I
Or they
love what
can
it
Google
says.
Cecilia Whitfield.
Cecilia, I love what it says on your website, a driving force for families. And then it is. You are the driving force. You've been doing this for decades.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.